This episode of Ask the Buffalo is brought to you by Domain.com.
Welcome back to another episode of Ask the Buffalo. I'm your host, Jon Rettinger, and this is the time where you can ask any question you have from the world of technology. Don't know what phone you should get? Go ahead and ask. Not sure if you should wait for quad-core tablets? Good question to ask. Don't know how to upgrade the RAM on your computer? Ask somebody else. This is Ask the Buffalo. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to another episode of Ask the Buffalo. This week we're going to talk iCloud. We're going to talk the Asus Eee Pad Transformer. We're going to talk Android and the Droid Razr and the HTC Rezound. We're going to talk about that weird blue thing behind me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a blogger, tech journalist, guy who makes videos about technology for a living, give you a bit about the insight of what it takes and what we go through on a daily basis. We'll pull back the curtains a little bit. So this is Ask the Buffalo. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first question comes from Mark Wegriff. He asks, John, on the desk in many of your videos, I see your blue Dyson fan. Do you like it? Would you recommend it despite the price? Thanks. We actually reviewed the Dyson fan over on technobuffalo.com. You might want to check it out. It was a written review, not a video. Do I like it? I like the way it looks. I don't like the way it sounds. It is extremely loud. I mean, it sounds like a jet engine getting ready to go, and the price is absolutely ridiculous. Depending on where you go or what deal you get, it's going to be almost $200 for a fan. While it's great for not having physical blades if you have children or animals around, you don't have to worry about them getting hurt, but for that price and that noise it makes, it is absolutely incredible. The base down here actually has a motor in it like a normal fan does. Unfortunately, it's very loud, about as loud as two, I'd say, regular fans. It oscillates and it puts out about as much air as a small desk fan, but nothing that giant. So when it comes to the Dyson fan, I think I'd say it's a big pass. It looks cool. It's definitely a case of form over function. All right, so the next question comes from Alex. He wants to know whether or not the Asus Eee Pad Transformer with the keyboard dock can be used as a laptop for daily usage, similar to what he'd use a laptop for. Well, we happen to have the Asus Eee Pad Transformer. We are one of the few publications actually in the world that has one of the first Tegra 3 processors in it. Tegra 3 is quad-core, which means this thing is blazingly fast. Previously, dual-core had been, the relative standard for tablets. This guy, however, delivers 2 more cores, and actually there's a 3rd core in there as well, while saving battery life. So it's got something called a 5th companion core, that's what NVIDIA is calling it, that does a lot of your low voltage work for you. So stuff in the background. So you're getting better performance and you're also getting better battery life. But it's called the transformer, so it's got to transform it to something. And it uses this, a keyboard dock, to do all of its transforming. So all it is, essentially it plugs right on into the dock. Go ahead and plug it right in, and essentially what you've got is a little laptop looking thing, and it looks very much like a laptop. So it's gonna depend what you mean by every day. If by every day you mean take notes, browse the internet, totally gonna work for you. If every day you do a lot of video editing, if you're doing a lot of rendering or 3D graphics, no, it's not gonna work for you. But if you're just checking out, some Word documents and you need to maybe edit a spreadsheet or two, this is definitely gonna work for you. And the battery life has been absolutely tremendous. About 12 hours with the standard battery in the Eee Pad Transformer and the secondary battery that lives here in the keyboard. So if you're looking to get a new tablet and you want to add something to your holiday wish list, the Transformer Prime is going to be a pretty prime candidate to make it on your list. All right, so let's go ahead and talk some smartphones. This question comes from user name here, who wants to ask, John, should I get the HTC Rezound or the Droid Razr? Well, got them both here, living in the boxes. And this is whether or not you want awesome or whether or not you want awesome. They're both great phones. They're probably 2 of my favorite Android phones on the market. If screen resolution is the most important to you, go ahead and get the Rezound. The screen on this thing is absolutely gorgeous. If size and thickness is most important to you, go ahead and get the Droid Razr. Despite its hump, it is an extremely thin phone with a lightning fast dual-core processor. They're both great choices. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick the Droid Razr. I really like the Kevlar back. I don't mind that it's got a sealed-in battery, but I do really like that design. It's a bit on the wider side though, so I got to check to make sure your hands are going to be able to fit around it. If you want a removable battery, the Rezound is going to be a good choice for you as well, but you can't go wrong with either of them, is the moral.
I'd like to take a minute to thank our friends and sponsors at Domain.com.
Thanks for the intro, Mr. Four Lakers. Now, if you're setting up a website for your business or blog, Domain.com is the best and most perfect place to go to buy a domain name for your new idea. Domain.com's easy checkout process makes it simple to find your domain name and set up your website without the hassle. Domain.com quickly shows you all of the available domain names, making it quick and easy for you to pick the extension that's right for you. Our friends at Domain.com love Techno Buffalo and want to hook you guys up. Get 15% off your domain when you use the coupon code TB, that's the letters TNB, at Domain.com's checkout. That's less than $9 a month. Plus, go to Domain.com/TB and they'll throw in a free 2 GB jump drive, available while supplies last. And don't forget, when you think domain names, think Domain.com. Back to Mr. Rettinger and all of them fabulous questions.
All right, so we're gonna change up the format here of Ask the Buffalo. I've never done this before. This isn't a question. I wanna share a comment with you guys. That's a very representative comment of things that we get quite a bit being in the tech world. It came from a top 5 AT&T phone list that we did. So this was actually, at least as of this filming, was a top comment. And I wanna share it with you, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Kang Jo No Hiet Nang writes, so whenever they make a list about the top 5 phones in each carrier, number 1 must be an iPhone? Seriously, John, I thought you were the one unbiased reviewer, even though you are using iPhone as your daily driver. Well, I guess I was wrong. That's Steve Jobs, beep. You are kissing, can't be at the top of every single thing they do, but an Apple fanboy will never get it. So I want to talk a bit about commenters. It's been a subject in some of my videos, and it's been a subject in a lot of other bloggers and journalists' content. There's a bit of irony in comments like this, and people immediately jump to call a fanboy if someone doesn't agree with one of their choices. So if I, for example, put an iPhone first, doesn't mean I dislike Android. It just means that the iPhone is my top choice. And a lot of these negative comments are becoming more and more poignant and more directed and intentionally hurtful to people, and it's swaying content. It'll never sway Techno Buffalo content. I've been doing this long enough to not let it bother me, but a lot of folks and a lot of journalists are shying away from doing any sort of comparison or any sort of verdict because of, well, comments like this. So if, you know, an Android phone is number 1, then immediately you're an Android fanboy. If an iPhone's number 1, immediately you're an iPhone fanboy. There's very little way to win when you pick a device. You're always going to make people unhappy. What I'm surprised with, and what keeps being surprising, is that people's personality and sense of identities are so closely tied in with their smartphone operating system. If I drive a Chevy, I don't expect Ford folks to be trying to yell at me and scream at me and tell me I should die and kill myself regularly. But that's what we see with iPhone versus Android. People get so inflamed and angry over it. And the comments are hurting journalism as a whole, and the internet is sort of progressing to get meaner and meaner and meaner. I'm not sure how this happened or at what point it happened, but I can definitely look back about a year ago and see anytime that something Apple is mentioned, people are going to be inflamed. Anytime something Android is mentioned, people are going to be absolutely inflamed. So my advice to a lot of reviewers out there that I know watch this video is to fight through this. Don't let it affect you. Don't worry about comments that call you a fanboy. Be honest to yourself and give honest opinions. You may prefer one device for another. I may prefer an iPhone 4 right now, and in a few months I might prefer an Android device, or next week I might prefer an Android device. I'm entitled to change my mind. I'm entitled to have different opinions, just like you're entitled to have your opinions. I thought it was important to sort of share this thought with you guys, because it's becoming just more and more prevalent in the tech world. So for those of you that might be watching, I hope that it's helpful to you, and I hope that you can fight through the negativity and you can wake up every day happy to do what you do. I wake up with a giant smile on my face every day, and I probably get 200 negative comments per day and probably 20 or 30 emails that say things I wouldn't want my mom to read. But you fight through it. You know, if you want to do something that's a little bit public, you have to deal with comments like this. and I know for a lot of folks it can be difficult. So that was a bit of sitting on my pulpit preaching, but I did want to share it with you guys. So this has been an episode of Ask the Buffalo. I am your host, Jon Rettinger. Be sure to check out Techno Buffalo for all of your tech news. We've got unboxing, we've got hands-on reviews, and everything in between. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.